Well, hey everybody, welcome back. This is Neighborly Homestead, and we're out trying to work on some of our maple lines today, and we're putting up some new tubing. This should have been done long before now, but that's just how things go sometimes. So I could show you here in a minute, a little bit closer. But what we're using is this green plastic tubing. It's 3/16 inside diameter. I know a lot of guys don't like this because it can plug up. And that is part of the reason we're replacing some of this. Is a few of these lines have been up for 3 years and they do have some stuff in them, and I was having some trouble at the end of the season last year, so we're just gonna rip it all out and put some new stuff in. But before we rip it out, we're gonna run the new stuff out there so I can remember exactly where it needs to go, so that'll be helpful. So we've got probably a good 12 inches or so of some packed crusty snow on the ground. This is not easy stuff to walk in when we're on the side of a ravine. So, but we'll bring you along for that and try to show you some of it out in the woods. It's going to be hard to record when I'm trying to pull this stuff. Sarah's going to be untangling the rat's nest here. So let's get to it.
Okay, let's go.
To give you guys a little bit of a close-up of the tubing, comes on a spool. We buy 1,000 feet at a time, but it's pretty nice stuff, nice and flexible. That there is one of our sap tanks. That's easily got more than a foot of snow on it, but hoping to get those shoveled off today so any sun this week can get them melted off so I can get them cleaned out. So you can kind of see the terrain we're dealing with. The camera does not do the hill that we're looking at right there any justice. It is so steep. You can kind of get an idea that shot there, but out there it's a lot more gradual, not as steep as it is right directly behind the house here. I apologize if the wind is bad. I just will have to see how that turns out when we edit this video. But so the first fitting that we put in is what they call an end of line hook. It's just a barbed fitting that goes in the end of the tube, and you wrap this line around the tree. I don't know how well you can see that. You hook it back on itself. So this will be cinched up on a tree. That just holds that line on the other end tight. Also use a tool from Maple Tech Tools. Basically a pair of vice grips that squeezes the line, and then you squeeze the handles to insert the fittings into the tube. Tools of the trade. Alright guys, I'm going to try to do some camera action here while we're walking across without making you seasick. can already see that tank is above my head, and I haven't walked 30 feet. Just to give you an idea how this ravine is here. We're headed up there. You guys can see in very short order here, I'm a lot higher than I was when I was way down there. Sorry if I'm out of breath, or if it sounds like I'm out of breath. It's because I am. I just walked up there. I don't know if you can see Sarah. She's all the way down there. Kind of gives you another view of this hill too. We are pretty high up. The neighbor's cabin. You can just make out there's a tank all the way down there in the middle of the screen. Alright guys, walking out here on this second line I'm doing, and I come across this tree that we had tapped. So right there is an old tap hole on the tree, and you can see how that thing healed itself together, and the tree grew from the inside. The bark still has the half round of the hole that I drilled on each side. There's another one there. Just looking to see if there's any more on this one. Might actually be on this side. I don't see any at the moment, but pretty cool. Oh, the tree just takes care of itself. It heals it right up. Another thing we do, there's another little tree right there. I used this one here. These little saplings with crotches in them help for holding the line up in a long stretch where you don't have another tree for quite a ways. When these lines get full of sap, they get heavier, so they will sag and droop. That's one key thing. You want to make sure that it's real important that you make sure you get them pulled tight. So the other thing is this 3/16 tubing. It's such a small hole, they create their own vacuum, but the water column is longer in the tube. So it's kind of hard to explain, but they work pretty good. Okay, we are at our end tree. Our old end tree was that one there, but years ago when I first started tapping that, it was already dying, and there's just a lot of dead wood in that tree, and sometimes you can get discolored sap from a tree like that, or you could get an air pocket where you're just going to get gas from the tree and it's just going to create a bunch of bubbles in the line. It's kind of more troublesome than it's worth. So we're going to stick to this one, and you can see our house over there through the trees. You can't see Sarah because she's behind the hill, But now I gotta start the trek back, which I've already done a third of the way like 6 times, because without help to pull the line, the tubing gets really tight when you start zigzagging through the trees. So normally the kids are out here helping, but this is early Sunday morning, they're still sleeping. So I will report back when we get back to the tank. Alright, that looks like a little bit of a rat's nest at the moment, but I just undid the hook from the old line and it's just kind of holding itself here. But we have these little flat hook connectors that you can hook into a wire. I've just got some wires around a T-post, but you can't really see it. That's a line from yesterday. And the new line is the tight one that goes around the left of that tree. But it goes all the way out. Up there you can just faintly see them lines in the trees. Quite a ways, quite the hike. And I am about pooped out after doing one of them. I'm sweating my butt off, but we got at least 2 more to do, I think. I don't know if we'll get them done right now, but we'll see.
Hi.
How was it on your end?
Worked well.
Not too tangled?
Not too bad. Got a little hairy there, but...
Well, we'll be back with you guys in a little bit. Might be with something different today too. We're going to try to get the arch finished up, wired and all that stuff, get it ready for a test boil. So stick around. Thanks for watching so far. Okay guys, we're up in the sugar shack now, taking a break from the tubing. I actually ran out of tubing. I bought a 1,000-foot roll of that stuff this year. I had a partial roll left from last year. We put all that up, plus I've got a little bit of it left over that we cut off on one of them. I'm going to use that to make some drop lines. I've got to make a few more of those. So, and if you don't know what I'm talking about as far as drop lines, we'll get there. I'll explain that at another point here when we're tapping trees. But I've got a few things to finish up on the arch, and I'll show you. I got all the fire bricks in. I want to just show you that before I set the pans in. So hang on, I'll flip you around. So I do have the flue pan sitting on there, and got the bricks in the back. I know some of you had stated some point, whether it was on Facebook or here on YouTube, I don't remember which, but I had somebody say that this shouldn't be a straight up wall in the back. There should be an angle. Well, it's a little late for that. We're going to find out. I'm hoping it's going to work fine. Our other arch was that way and it worked good. You can see the bricks in the sides, and they go all the way down. Let me turn the light on here. You go all the way down into the bottom past the grate. I've got bricks in the bottom, so if there's any ash or anything to scoop out, I'm not dragging it around on the insulation. Got a few bricks here at the front. My screw up right here at that seam in the brick. I forgot to weld a nut on the inside for a bolt with a keeper to hold that, but it's pretty tight having the bolts here at these other corners holding them. So as long as I don't get too rowdy throwing wood in there, we should be fine. I had to trim out the back one on both sides, go around the flue. I didn't want it touching. So I did get the blower put on, and so right now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to get I've got a fitting I've got to put in the back of that flue pan for the drain, and I'm going to set the syrup pan on, get the float box and everything mounted up, the tubing, the piping that goes to all that stuff, get that all connected. And then I have the, sorry about the camera here. I have the switch mounted for the door. So that is just a little limit switch. It's going to turn the blower off when I open the door. So I got to get that wired up. And that's pretty much about it, I think, for the arch. We're all ready for, just about all ready for a test boil. So I'm hoping maybe the next night or two be able to get that done. So I will, I'll bring you back when I'm getting ready to hang all the float box and stuff, all them parts on there. So just hold on. All right, so I've got a 1/2 inch by 4 inch long stainless pipe nipple and a stainless ball valve. Got her taped up. Now we're going to go through this hole into the pan. And all this is for is so that when you get to the, you know, if you get a time during the season that you need to drain the pan, maybe to take it out and clean it, or you get to the end of the season, it'd be extremely hard to lift this pan up and out of here when it's full of fluid, you know, sap that's concentrated, because it's only going to drain out to here. You got to remember, you have those flues that drop way down in. They're 7 inches tall by like an inch wide. I'm not sure how many of them there are. There's 10 of them. So that's a fair amount of liquid that's going to be in there. It's going to have some weight to it. So they come with a plug. The problem is you can't get to that plug when it's all put together. So I wanted to make a hole in the side, put this out so I can drain it out easier. And that's what we're going to do. Sounds a little crunchy, but let's see what we can do here. A little bit more. Okay, that is. All right, that'll work there. Just want to have it. Hopefully we're going to have no leaks. All right, got some silicone sealant. We're going to put around that just to seal her up. And hopefully I don't have to do anything. It's like the old saying goes, you do your best and caulk the rest. So what I have here, guys, is a float box. You stand it up. So this hangs on the side of the pan in the back. It's got a little sight here. Got two fittings there that'll clamp on. It hangs on the side. And down inside there is this float mechanism. And what that does is it allows sap to come in the back port here. And there's a little seal shut off that'll close that off as this float rises up. So as you're boiling sap and the water is evaporating, it needs to make up for that. So that pan in the back is going to be almost full and it'll be feeding this float. So it'll kind of be taking care of itself, so to speak. But I'm going to get this mounted up here. Here. All right, so those are tight. That valve's closed. So you can see there two fittings called tri-clamp fittings, dairy type. They're like a dairy fitting. That just hangs on the side. Pretty neat. And then on this side, we got a mount of pipe that goes from the back pan up here to the front pan. So I'm going to wait to do that because I'm going to do my wiring down here first. I just don't want it in the way or I'm banging my head on it. Okay, so we monkeyed around with the switch and our power. Just going to plug it in. Next summer, I'm hoping to run some actual power out here and wire the sugar shack here. Okay. So I have a power cord coming in the back to the motor, the fan. I've got wire coming all the way around up into this box right here. And then I do have a toggle switch on that. And then the wire here going to that switch for the handle on the door. So we can do, flip that switch on. You can hear the blower running. We're going to open the door. You hear the blower stop. And close the door. Blower starts back up. Now I don't have to manually flip a switch every time I want to open the door. We had that on the old arch with the blower and it was a pain in the butt. If you forgot, you got a face full of fire just about. The reason I put this toggle switch on is for the end of the day, the end of the boil. Sometimes you want to have a little bit of fire in there, not going crazy. And let's say you want to have this door open just to create a little draft. I could shut the blower off and still have this door closed and concentrate the heat under the pan. So that was kind of my thought process behind that. So that's pretty slick. Now we're gonna put the pans together here. Trim this off. Okay, so now we have this pipe. All right, so I didn't bring it up yet, but I have a 15-gallon little barrel, plastic barrel that I set up on that shelf. I have the top of it cut out. I fill that with sap or concentrate from the RO, and it'll have a little valve with a hose and a quick connect fitting that'll connect right to that fitting right there. So it's just a stainless cam lock. So we're going to fill this pan with sap. It's going to go out that hole right there, which is back here. You're going to come around, open that valve. The sap's going to come down this hose into that float box. It'll come in this hole and this hole. So to give you an idea, so it's going to come in back here. The sap's going to travel to the front. There is a, it's hard to see, little channel here. Comes over to this middle section. It's going to go back, and then there's a little opening in that corner there. It's going to go across to that side, come all the way to the front, and go out that hole right there. That hole is connected right here to this pipe. So it comes out the pipe up to the front of this pan. This is the syrup pan. So the sap's going to travel across here. There's a little hole down in this corner right here. Comes to the middle channel. Comes across there. Goes through that hole to this back channel, which is the last one. Comes to here. And then right here will be where we draw off syrup. So some of you might wonder how it moves. As you boil the water out of it and the sugar concentrates, the sugar will push itself basically, or the water will push the sugar to the other end. So we'll have raw sap or RO'd sap in the back, and then as it's boiling, it'll concentrate at the far end where you're drawing off, as long as you're putting more sap in. So it's just a constant, they call it a gradient. I'll show you more when we get going here. You will be able to see a color change throughout each channel. It's pretty amazing, pretty neat how it works. But anyways, guys, I think that's about all I got for today. Sorry we were kind of all over the place, but you got to see a little bit of what we were doing in the woods and getting the arch finished up here. So we're pretty much got a few things I got to clean up, get the tanks cleaned, get my hoses for my pump ran down through the woods and in the yard, and just some finishing touches here and there. I guess we'll see what happens with the season here. We might be tapping trees next weekend. Just kind of got to watch the weather and see what we're looking for, or see what we're in for, and we'll go from there. But ideally you want in the 40s during the day and below freezing, or in the 20s at night. That is about perfect sugaring weather. So, but thanks for sticking around this long. Appreciate you watching. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You'll find out when our videos go live. And hopefully this week we're going to do a test boil on this thing. And then before you know it, we'll be doing sap. So Appreciate you watching, guys. See ya.